Meanwhile, also find a little space to vote for the best dressed gent and the best dressed lady, provided they are within black and white and all that between.
Oops.
So Technicolors are out. Those who are wearing only black and white and shades of grey can be considered for voting. Mr. Ramlingam has sort of saw his chest coming up.
Sarati, you lose and I lose.
Best debate team also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best debate. By vote? By vote?
The third vote is the best team that impressed, that convinced you the best. So 3 votes, I mean rather, best table topics, best debater, best debating team, best dressed male, best dressed female. Meanwhile, there's a lot to do. May I also come back to the theme of the day. I hope the debate itself illustrated that there are very few absolutes. Even truth has a context, right? The best option often lies far away from the extreme left and the extreme right. Stephen Covey's prescription to get over an ideological logjam is nothing but synergy. We all know about jazz as a distinguished musical form, distinguished for its improvisations. We also know about rock, which is all raw power. What happened when jazz and rock came together in 1960s? The world got fusion. Trucks loaded and being driven on trains. Why? Trucks have flexibility. Trains are low on pollution, they are efficient. So this is another case of competing modes of transport coming together. One more example may I give? Synthesizing the conflicting interests of customer, the business, and vendors. Lots of businesses, as you know, I'm sure your company may be practicing it, have gone in for the increasingly popular idea of co-creation. All 3 come together, merge their differences, and create for a common cause. Black and white. Friends, is very binary. It's almost, if I'm permitted to say, it's juvenile in comparison with respect for grace, which is a lot more realistic. It's a more evolved way of looking at the world. I hope that has given enough time for the 2 sagely evaluators. We will now go into Act 2, Stage 2, evaluation by 2 distinguished evaluators. Is it a coincidence that they are both legal luminaries, though of slightly varying vintages? Well, that could well be the subject for another debate. The proposition being, are lawyers more logical? To take off the debating, I will call upon Toastmaster Priyanka. Again, a little story that will interest you. Toastmaster Priyanka did her first stage appearance when she was 6. Straining to reach the mic, making a cute figure. Somebody helped her with it. She got a lot of applause. Thereafter, she has never turned back. And as to the theme, she talks more about the black and white being a myth about people, that all people are a mix of black and white. So, calling upon Toastmaster Priyanka, 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes, and 8 minutes. As it happens. 7 minutes, 7.5, and 8.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, when I was sitting there and watching the debate, When the first side came on stage and said something, I was nodding. And when this side came, I was still nodding. Because each side was that convincing. It was absolutely brilliant. Especially the end, the third speakers of each side were amazing. We were all laughing and clapping and having a lot of fun. So I will go on to give my thoughts on each speaker one by one. So to begin with Janani, what I liked about Janani's way of putting a point is she began with a definition. So first we have to understand what is the debate all about, what is the context. So she began with the definition and we were able to understand what ego actually means and in what context are they arguing. Then she went on to give a personal example, as in all of us have at one point of time strived to be the best. At least we've thought that we have to do something for ourselves, so we are at that stage. So that is something that reaches out to all of us. Then she went on to give another kind of example, which is of a popular figure, like Michael Phillips. She told us about Usain Bolt. So all of these are characters that we know about, real life stories, which really appeals to our logic also. So that is what I liked about Janani's way of presenting. Then going on to Siddhika. No. Yeah. Okay, Siddhika also began with a quote. But then I felt that she said the quote and then she said, this is why I feel that ego is not what drives progress. So relying on a quote like that, I felt is not the right way to present your point. But then she told us about Maslow's theory, which we all agree with. Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. He's a popular figure. He knows what he's talking about, and he has specifically said that progress is hindered by ego. So that is a compelling argument. And she also talked about Toastmasters and how we all come in here and we let go of our ego, listen to others when they give us suggestions and take it without ego or thinking who is that person to tell you. And she presented her point in that way, which was very good. Moving on to Tushar. Tushar had these bulletin points of facts, one after the other, which convinced us of why ego has driven progress till now. So I cannot list out all of them, but a few would be Steve Jobs, who had, because he was thrown out, he had that ego, that drive to prove himself, and that made him achieve success, which has also led to our lives being easier. And then Gandhi. All of these people stuck to their beliefs. They had ego in the right sense, and they made a difference in this world. Then comes Anusha. What I liked about Anusha's argument is she presented a new point of view. Instead of it just being about science and progress of the human race, there is also progress of personal relationships, for which if you have ego, that is a big problem. So even instead of just seeing career and just being giving a narrow-minded approach to it, she also talked about personal relationships. Yes, and she, okay. Moving on to the last speakers of each side, what I really liked about Gopika's way of presenting is she took each point made by the other side and she rebutted it. So one by one, it was like these blocks of bricks. She's breaking it one by one. No, this is not a good argument. That's not a good argument. So that's a very good way of presenting a debate. Moving on to Sarathi, he made us realize that the entire debate was about human progress and not individual progress alone, which also brought us more into perspective. One thing that I did not appreciate was that there was a little bit of personal attack, which if it wasn't a fun debate, it would not have been appreciated. But then since it's a milestone meeting and we're all here to have fun, that is all right. And that's it.
As always, precise, brick by brick. Not breaking brick by brick, picking up brick by brick. Wonderful. On to the next and the last debater, the evaluator of the day. The last evaluator of the day is Toastmaster Sunil, currently the area director I4. He started in his school with his debating, but what he enjoyed most was a series of debates on WTO and its advantages, almost the equivalent of the current debate that's going on. So he went from campus to campus in a group to educate people about this. He loves being on stage and wants to become a better speaker. That's why he's enjoying his Toastmaster journey. As for the theme, he has a slightly different take. He says these colors are plain colors lacking vibrancy. Yet, they can come together and create a very good impression. Just like people who may look humble and simple, when called upon, they can outshine others. Very good perspective, calling Toastmaster Sunil.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Good afternoon. And my target speakers. 6 of them. But I'll stay here. What a brilliant preparation. We all came here, including a lot of guests, came to this club with a lot of expectation. And they proved it right. Speaker after speaker, it was very evident there was amazing preparation. Each point they made here was supported by good facts, ample facts, and they didn't disappoint us. This is the first point I would like to say about the debate happened today. And the second one is an amazing arrangement. Like each team, they had an opening, they split their points between the two debaters, and the third one either rebutted or supported and concluded. And the third one, this rebuttal or summary by each one was brilliant. And that was the most difficult task, and they did it in a very brilliant way, and we had some fun elements also. Now I'll come to each speaker by speaker. Now Janani, when Thomas was telling me about ego, I was also looking at the dictionary. I didn't know what the correct meaning of ego. But Janani nailed it when she started with the first sentence. What is ego? How it is defined. People who are not aware of this was very clear of it. They were also brought to the track. And then it was supported by examples which are contemporary and which are known to us, which are in our memory. Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, and Olympics. Second, Siddhika. Siddhika has a clarity in what she was going to say. She divided it. I think it's progress in career, progress in life. Yeah, the third one you couldn't complete it. Yeah, she did. Okay, so there was clarity in what she was going to say. And that was very good. And the Snow White connection was again, I also have 2 daughters, so I also know something about Snow White now. So I also enjoyed that part. And she had also counter-argument against Janani that within that very short span of time she got well-listened to Janani. And Tushar, my Mindy. Due to all the mentoring I have done. Jokes apart, it was a brilliant, as already Priyanka pointed out, he has a special way of telling things by point, and he didn't leave it by saying all the examples, but he was mostly concentrating in the corporate and professional world. The examples were mostly from there. A lot of illustration which was known to us. And I think it was a bit serious and really took it very and he got the kind of what you call the sincerity to the debate. Like, all of them had, but then it was like very serious. And Anusha's counter argument to Tushar about Steve Jobs, I liked it. And that was also a twist to the entire debate. And because about Steve Jobs, it was non fact. Everybody knows, so everybody was shaking. But then this counter with a touch of so that was Anusha was considering a psychological approach. Anusha's point were more into the psychological approach of approaching the countering the the topic. And the rebuttals were also very enjoyable. And now the final concluding debater from this side, Gopika, reinventing the definition. The first definition, she reinvented the definition and brought it to the attention of the audience again. And then specific rebuttal to what other deputy opposition team was doing. That also I enjoyed. And finally, my colleague, co-director, Toastmaster Sarathi brought a different dimension to the entire debate. And there was a bit of a fun element, there was a bit of twist which we didn't expect into the entire debate, and he entered with a punch. Now, overall, this was the positives which I noticed, and there are some few tips from my little experience as a debater and more as a watcher. And like I would like to say, the concluding, the persons who concluded, both of them brought in some new points which was not supposed to be a debate, especially the aspect of the human progress, which Sarathi brought in, could have been given by the colleagues in the debate. The human progress was an absolutely amazing point which we all missed, but that could have been done by the previous debaters, and he could have elaborated on that. And the same thing happened for Gopika. Gopika, when she reinvented the definition, I thought she was not convinced about Janani's definition. So I felt like she was trying to explain again the Janani's perception about. I mean, I didn't say that you meant it, but it felt to the audience that you are trying to explain again. When you went on and explaining, the concluding part became very abrupt. So both of you, I think both of you also time, right? You were beyond the time. So it would have been better if the conclusion was I mean, they could have summarized the points given by the co-debaters, and instead of going for the new arguments, which is, as I understand from Toastmaster Thomas, which is not allowed in debating. You cannot take a new points, you can only summarize the points. So this is the only points I have. And finally, the time factor. We have time. We have been given time 5 minutes. So each debater knows about the time, and most of them are prepared thoroughly. So we would have enjoyed more if he could have completed in time, especially when Janani suddenly stopped. Then we also said stop. We lost. I mean, like the timing factor was something which would have been taken care of. But I loved it. I really appreciate the ESCOM for this wonderful opportunity to listen to an amazing debate which happened today. All these.
Thank you both the evaluators. So very incisive, so very professional, so very committed. Friends, we're going to make another deviation. What they have together offered is a 16-minute education session. It's not correct to evaluate educators with a prize or something, right? We thank them for it, so we will not have a best evaluation contest. For this reason, request the voters, now we will hand over the mic and the stage to the general evaluator. Another round of applause. Thank you. Let me hand over to G.
Good evening, Toastmasters. When compared to the previous milestone meetings, this particular milestone meeting, there's a huge difference. The way in which the earlier EXCOM perceived milestone meetings and how this EXCOM perceived milestone meetings entirely different. The perspective has got changed a lot. In earlier milestone meetings, we make the milestone meetings really colorful by doing some decoration. Right?
Yes.
This meeting, they completely avoided those kind of gimmicks and really put some colorful debate. So give a good big round of applause for the entire Have you started the meeting on time? Timer? On time?
No.
It is actually 5 minutes delayed. So I request EXCOM again to work on it and start the meeting on time. That is something which is really important for us. Then for a milestone meeting, at times we book 2 halls. Today, a couple of close to 10 members were standing and attending the meeting. Either we have to arrange extra chairs or we have to book 2 halls. Maybe EXCOM can plan on that. Today, Toastmaster of the Day and debate moderator Toastmaster Thomas, he did a fantastic job. And the way in which he moderated, the way in which he introduced, fabulous. And give a big round of applause for him. And this concept of debate is something very new to us, and experimenting it on a milestone meeting is really good, and it worked very well. In fact, I was thinking, sitting there, okay, when I will get next opportunity to participate in debate. So hope you all have a similar thing. So this unique idea, again, we have to give a big round of applause again for all the members who participated in the contest, that were in the first debut debate by Medley. This was a big round of applause. As we are pressed for time, we will have active report offline. Fine. I enjoyed thoroughly this meeting, except for the timing, which we started 5 minutes delayed. Other things really went well. This is really a milestone, good, very good meeting. I will have more such milestone meetings in the future. Give a big round of applause again for next time.
Thank you very much. I think appreciation is the greatest motivation for any experimenter. Friends, the last voting for the day. Please vote for the best role players. The role players are the GE, Ramlingam, the tag team consisting of the